Hello, I'm Paul Fletcher and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Achieve More Scotland, and this is our second podcast.
I'm Ahmed, I'm the Youth Development Officer.
Hi, I'm Kevin and I'm a youth worker here at Achieve More Scotland. My job is to help kids from deprived areas and help them make better lives.
Well done, Kev, that only took 3 attempts. Now, we're just going to have a chat.
Yeah,
We're going to chat about a few different issues, from residentials and European trips to more serious issues like child poverty, and then a subject the two of you guys will know quite well of growing up with the charity itself and what's happened over the years. And then if we've got time we can also speak about activity guidelines and racism in sport, so basically we're going to talk about everything. Okay, so let's start with residentials. Let's speak a little bit about residentials. We've all been on them.
Yeah.
We've all, you and myself have been on them as workers. Kevin, you've been on it as a young person, and this summer you'll be spending 4 weeks in Madrid as part of a European exchange. So you're looking forward to it, and how are you preparing for it, and what you excited about?
Yeah, like you said, I'm going on a trip to a residential and I think I'm looking forward to it definitely. I went to France 4 years ago, which again my first time going abroad with Achieve More, and it was a great experience working with different young people and different culture, different experience, being in a different city, so it was great. I enjoyed my time there, helping decorate a community, so it was good in those terms. This one's going to be different, it's in Spain, Madrid, so it's going to be a total different experience, but an experience that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully I can get the best out of it, and like I always talk about, culture, experience, being in a different country, weather, so it'll be good language as well, so it'll be a good one for sure.
No, it'll be great. I've been over a few times to see the partners, and the guys that went over last year, James, Kelsey, Carly, Ben and Chloe, all absolutely loved it, and they're all bugging me to go back again, so I'm sure you'll love it. I was actually just laughing there in the back of my head because I was thinking back to when we took the group to France, and how you pretended you could speak fluent French so you could come on the trip.
Remember that, man?
Remember that?
Oh god. A whole paragraph in French, and he goes, yeah, I was just kind of a small answer in English. Oh, legend.
No, but it's an amazing experience, and we'll be receiving a group this year from Spain as well. So we'll have a group from Spain, I'll go with a group from Germany, and potentially some more volunteers from Sweden as well, and it'll be great. They'll be volunteering at camps for the full month, and it's a fantastic experience. I do worry what will happen with Brexit going forward, but we have the guaranteed projects for this year. You get to experience it. We have the guys coming, and we're sending other groups as well to Portugal, to hopefully Russia as
Germany,
well, and Germany. So no, that'll be absolutely brilliant. What about you, Ahmed? What about your experiences? Because you've been all over recently. You've been in Germany quite a few times.
Not like for me, like I think as a youth worker or a staff member on a residential, it's kind of the easiest gig you can ever get. It's kind of like a whole different thing where you can challenge yourself out of out of the office or out of your kind of environment. So like I've been in a few where you are like kind of like where you are like either canoeing, kayaking, like abseiling, that kind of stuff. Kind of like a whole new kind of like challenge for yourself. But also like I've been on ones that like about mental health or about kind of equality. It's kind of a whole different kind of a range of a challenge, I would say.
How do they compare? I mean, I always compare ones that you do in the UK to ones that you do abroad, and how different they are.
Yeah, I've been to France, Germany, and then France again last year. Did a lot chiller, kind of the whole kind of learning a new culture, trying out new foods, and just that whole kind of idea of actually like being somewhere else is phenomenal. I'd say. Yeah, definitely.
No, I mean for me, as a worker, I've been lucky enough. I've had groups go to France and Vietnam, and you guys were part of the group that came to France with me the first time we took a group away in the Erasmus Plus project, and
Years ago.
that was as much a learning experience for me as it was for you guys. Especially when the workers there didn't understand that they didn't understand Glasgow banter, and they thought that I was bullying you because we slag each other, and they pulled us all into the group. I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah.
I think that was still at the time Kevin was pretending he could speak French, and
He's been quiet about it.
he's been quiet, man.
Yeah.
He's shy on the camera here. He's shy.
Lungs looking.
No, but I think everybody would agree it's a great experience for a young person to go on, whether it's within the UK or it's across a European one. And I think we've stumbled on something that works quite well, where you get the opportunity to try one within the UK, and if you're ready for that next step, you can go as part of a smaller group on a 2-week exchange, and then following on from that, there's the opportunity to go for a month, and then later this year we'll be sending volunteers away for 10 months or a year through European Voluntary Service, or now Solidarity Corps, and that is it. I never did it myself. I've travelled a lot, but I've never done one of these experiences, and I'd always say that I actually look back and I wish I had done one of these things. But no, I think it's a fantastic thing for young people. No, perfect. You've kind of quieted it.
No, I'm good.
No, so I think something that might actually get us talking and flowing a wee bit better is, what are your guys' experiences of being involved with the charity? I mean, you've been involved for best part of 7-8 years, 6-7-8 years, and you're probably not far off.
4 or 5.
4 or 5 years at least, and you've seen it from every angle. You've been a young person participating in sessions, playing Friday night football. You've been a volunteer. You've been a sessional coach, and now you're full-time members of staff. You've seen it from every single angle. I mean, you can say better than I can. I've grown up with the charity as well, where I've gone from a youth worker to one of only 3 members of full-time staff, and then I've been here and I've seen all the growth and all you guys coming in and all the younger members of staff. But my viewpoint's quite different because you've seen it from being a participant through. What would you guys?
Yeah, I would, looking back from when I first started, I remember getting a call from one of my cousins who was playing for Kingsway, and he told me, come, there's a Friday night league. This was like you said, 6-7 years ago, and I came along one day and just to see everyone playing football and stuff like that, and it was for free, and you could come along and enjoy yourself and play against each schemes and stuff like that. I thought that it was good, and I continued to come along and play more games, and after that I think getting into A and at Achievemore was purely through Robert. There was I think there was a Scotland game versus, I think it was Georgia, and they needed volunteers. It was at Ibrox Stadium, and I came along and we helped with the, I think it's like the
Fan zone.
Yeah, the fan zone.
Remember?
So done the fan zone, just setting up and helping the SFA and stuff like that, and getting kids to do that kind of fun stuff before they go into the game and stuff like that, and which was a good experience, something I never done before. Just that's when you're starting to get involved with like coaching and responsibilities and stuff like that, and from then on done well, and that's when I came down to meet you, and everything kicked on from there. From there to doing training courses and stuff like that, try to get different qualifications, which obviously you need, especially a job like this, youth work, working with young people. It's important that you have some decent qualifications, so that you know what you're doing, when you're coaching with kids, working with kids with different disabilities and stuff like that, and being able to coach in different ways as well. And
What's your best memory? If you remembered one thing most, or you were to say the one moment that as soon as it happened, or you thought about it later, you thought, yeah, that was.
I think the France trip was the one for me, because going over to a country where I could speak the language.
That's a lot.
The language, and being within the community, I had good relationship with the kids, especially where we were. Being able to, have the banter and the talk with the kids, and I remember, when we finished and doing little song dances, little fun dances with the kids, and the kids were buzzing and laughing and stuff like that. And then, knowing that, it was time for them to leave, like to go home and stuff like that, and we had to continue, but still, even when it was time for them to leave, they were still at the top, shouting your name, and they were buzzing. So it obviously showed that they enjoyed being around you and stuff like that, which gives you a good feeling, because it shows that you're doing the job that you're meant to be doing when you're there. So
It was a great trip, apart from the food, I'd say.
Oh, the food was great.
I thought the food was good.
At the place we stayed, the house.
I mean, the couscous and the whole vegetable thing, I loved that.
Kidding me on.
I think it's more because.
Don't say the night you cooked the food it was good, because it just wasn't.
No, I mean, like, see the culture. I think the culture comes. It's a big play.
I like the culture.
I mean in terms of like, say like the Scottish people going over. You know, maybe up here, I don't know. Maybe you're used to fish and chips or mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
Wow.
But someone like me, who
were you living in 1960s?
someone like me who's independent, who
Speaks French.
speaks French, who buys into every culture.
Yeah.
I think going over there and being able to eat fresh food, vegetables.
But that's the point. It wasn't fresh half the time. It was sitting in a storage cupboard for 2 weeks.
Oh, it was grown
Because for like,
It was grown out from the.
It was grown up.
Yeah, but they would leave it kind of over for a whole day.
It wasn't grown out of the ground. It was grown off the
Eaten
walls.
next morning. Can you remember?
There's a difference. If it's grown off the walls, you don't eat it.
Mushrooms on.
But anyway, I enjoy the food, freshly cooked, the rice and different things as well. I was paired up with a good cook actually. That night, so good food.
Big Daniel.
I think everyone enjoyed it, so.
I'll give you your due. Your night that you cooked was one of the better nights, but I thought the nights we were in Toulouse were more fun.
Yes, I agree as well.
They were more fun.
Some good fun, yeah. It was very good actually. Just being in the night city, Saturday weekend as well. You get to enjoy a bit of free time. You being in the city, like I said, south of France.
You could get a job for the tourist board.
The people that you meet as well in the city centre, and stuff like that.
Who did you meet in the city centre?
No, just like, of course.
No, remember any guy you passed with a PSG trackie? You might play for PSG.
No.
Is he Brazilian?
No, the best one was,
He knows Neymar, doesn't he?
the best one was when we were in that restaurant.
That was funny.
The waiter. But
That's so on this. Oh.
I just knew that he was from Congo. Just the
Why did you? How did you know?
How did you know?
Just the way he smells. Just the way the person smells. Sometimes you can tell. I think. Like,
I've got to be honest.
if you smell an Italian, for
That
example-
is a unique skill set. I have never been out in Italy and been able to smell a Scottish person
Well,
through there.
Okay, say for example, if you're
Fish and potato, apparently.
Mashed potato.
I don't know if you're in like, I don't know, Sweden or something.
Yeah.
And someone from Italy is working in the restaurant there, and just Italians have a lot of antics they like to do. Sure, you'd be able to tell. That.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
Italian.
But not by the smell. But anyway,
But that's what I'm saying. It's different, So.
we're talking about the smell here. What about you?
At least kind of memory was going to be kind of similar to Kevin. I went and did the fan zone at the Gibraltar game at Hampden. Yeah, that was great. Met like Kevin, all the boys there for the first time. Yeah, and then kind of just been involved ever since. But even before that, kind of like playing in the local team in Denniston, and yeah, it was great, and kind of just being kind of taking part in the team, and then helping out the coaching, and then being an actual coach in the team, and then being a staff member full time. It's kind of a very kind of big journey so far. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, I would really struggle to pick one memory over all the years.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the amount of, for being one of the football coaches to start with in Possil, when he used to love a Friday night. He'd love every bit about a Friday night, and the kids would love it, and you'd have 20, 30 kids turn up, and it was a big, like it is still, it's a big event, having a game at Petershill, having a game at Milton, it's a big thing, and just the banter over all the years, all the jokes, all the laughs. I don't have any real bad memories of Friday nights or anything that's happened. Everything's always positive. Everyone at the end of the night is always smiling, everyone's laughing, everyone's having a joke with each other. There's no bad blood, and for the work that we do and the kids that we're working with, to be able to say that is a big thing.
Yeah.
Because you have, I remember back to the start when we first started, 8, 9, 10 years ago now, in fact, sorry, and the games at the start, we had a line of coaches up the middle, from one team in, get changed, and one team out onto the pitch, and then the next team would come in and get changed, and then the next team was out on the pitch.
How was this?
Just because of the issues that existed between, if it was Swinburne and Possil, or if it was Royston and Blackhill, or if it was the 8 original sites across the north as part of Operation Reclaim. And game by game, week by week, year by year, it's just reduced and reduced and reduced and reduced. And we joke, but there's an informal transfer policy system for kids change teams, and that never happened in the past. And the amount of times at the start, and I'm sure everybody remembers a game that they had, and you get handbags, you're always going to get handbags, it's football, it's sport, things happen, but sometimes you'd have to step in it and be more serious than that. But the groups of young people you're working with, that sometimes happens. But the best thing is, looking over the full 10 years, you can see the improvement in behaviour. You see all the kids in the team that are stepping up, who they know that if somebody acts out of order, the full team suffers and they miss a week because of bad behaviour. And I think that's a massive thing. And when one team starts to do it, another team starts to do it, and it continues and it continues and it continues, and the number of incidents we have now are almost non-existent. And I think that's a great thing looking back over the years. The residentials are a big thing for me. My favourite thing that we do or on a regular basis are the holiday camps. The holiday camps are my favourite thing.
Best part,
And it was something that we didn't do originally, and we had a go at it, and it's now become a core part of the work that we do. And I couldn't imagine the work that we do without it.
It's actually seemed to be fair,
And you're stressed out. You're completely stressed, and you're shattered every day.
On a Monday, you're like, yes, let's do this, buzzing about this. By Friday, you're like, okay, right, home time.
And you're asleep by 4:30.
Yeah.
The first day, and you crash, and then you're awake at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're back in there early in the morning. But you see the progression over all the years of the first camp we did, and we had 80, 100 kids turn up, and now we've regularly got 350 kids across the camps, and just being able to know that they've got a hot meal as well. The addition of a free lunch for me is a big thing. The free transport, giving them out the prizes at the end of the camp, giving them out the gifts that we get from Nike or from other partners, the jackets, the school uniforms, whatever it is. It's a proper community project. Everyone's involved. It's based upon what the kids want as well.
I think like when you look at, I like to vary between ages. You look at, from the young ones that come through, the buzzing, the smiling in the morning, can't wait to get ready to play and stuff like that. And they're giving you a high five, this and that, and then as it goes up, you see the kids that come and they appreciate it. They appreciate, what we put on for them, and being there, and seeing the coaches, and having a little banter with the coaches and stuff like that, and then being able to play and express themselves on the pitch, because football gives you the ability to do that. It gives you the ability to be active, to have a purpose and a goal, to play and enjoy yourself, and win as well, and basically have fun. So you see from each age group, the effect it has on those kids, and
the growth in them as well.
And that's how you see, you know, the numbers each year just continuously kept growing, and you know, for me that's a great job, you know, what we're doing and stuff like that. So
No, I mean, I think that actually brings us on to another issue that's down that we can talk about, and it follows on quite nicely, and it's the affordability of sport. And both of you know this is something I feel very strongly about. But to keep it short, for me, simply, all sport should be free. For the kids that we work with, it should be sport for all means you eradicate all the barriers towards participation in sport. There shouldn't be costs associated with transport, with venue hire. Some things you can't control, like equipment, the cost of things, but you can reduce it and you can help it. But fundamentally, the bigger when you look, for me, I look across the whole of Scotland, and coming from a background at uni and everything I studied, and one of the biggest burdens to this country in relation to expenditure is healthcare. And the country's, we're forever hearing the country's getting fatter, people are contracting more preventable illnesses, whether it be type 2 diabetes, whether it be cardiovascular disease, whether it be all of these different types of illnesses which are preventable. And the main bodies out there continually tell us that more regular exercise, better diet, will massively reduce the cost longer term, and that money can be better utilised on other things in society, whether it be education, whether it be keeping the streets safer, whether it be making more money available to do free school meals out with school time, for example. But for me, fundamentally, sport should be free for all the participants that we work with, in particular the areas that we work in. There should be no barriers towards participating in regular and free sport.
Definitely,
and you see it from the work that we do. If holiday camp wasn't free, we get 350 kids a day.
They would not.
If we put a fiver on that a day, the amount of holiday camps you see out there that charge £40, £50, £60, £70 a week, and there are people out there who could afford it, and that's no problem at all. That's clearly something that works for those who have disposable income. But there's so many people out there, hundreds of thousands of people, who do not have the disposable income, who might have 2, 3 or 4 kids, and they're being asked to pay £40 or £50 a week to go to a holiday camp.
You know, like, and then like, what do you pick between food, like football, for a whole week?
And it should never be that.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely not.
That decision of, as a parent, you know, having to decide, you know, my kid being able to go and play football, but having to pay, or to us, you know, sacrifice that and say no, you know, there needs to be food to put on the table. And I think, you know, I'm a guy that's very big on being active and being sporty and stuff like that. I feel like, you know, sports, football, you know, whatever it is, young kids want to do, should be done for free. You should not be charging kids more money to go and play football. You know, we want to develop talent. We want to develop, you know, better people, better humans. You know, healthier people. You know, it should be done, you know, for free, and you know, taking money off kids is, you know, for me it's ridiculous.
For me, I mean, exactly what you've said there. People always go on and they talk about making a level playing field. When it comes to sport, it's never been a level playing field. The more money you have, the more opportunity you have, because you can get access to better equipment, better coaches, etc, etc, etc. Football for me was always the best example of, you look at a number of great Scottish footballers over the year that came from absolutely nothing. They grew up kicking a ball against a wall, and they went on to become football legends. People like Kenny Dalglish to Jimmy Johnston to Jim Baxter. I'm trying to think of Rangers players to balance it up. And you think there's people that came from nothing, and they could always do that. But over the last 10 years, I see it's getting harder and harder and harder to do that. I mean, it's that we're not talking about something that's complex and hard here. If you want more elite level athletes, you need more people participating at the lower levels. If you cast a wider net, if you're going out to catch fish, if you use a fishing rod, you can only catch 1 or 2 fish at a time. But if you go out with a net you can catch more fish. If we have more people participating in community sport, you're going to have more people go on to be elite level athletes. It's not complex, this, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And then, it brings me to another thing that does link to affordability of sports, but it also links to the wider thing of sports. I don't know how you guys feel, but I think a lot of times other sports are pushed on kids that kids don't necessarily want to do, because they want to try to create it so that more people try different sports, but that might then force the kids to stop playing. We know it's Glasgow, it's no secret football's the main thing, and a lot of times other sports have been pushed on kids that they don't want to participate in.
But do you mean like in schools, or like by the parents? What do you mean, like just kind of?
Not so much in the schools, because schools is different. Like you're in school, you participate in sport, you're there, it's part of a curriculum, it's a different experience. Not only does it have to be the correct activity that the community and the kids want, it has to be accessible. I mean, you think of our gymnastics club, or gymnastics activities that we use, that's for me is the perfect example. We never did gymnastics 3 years ago. And we introduced gymnastics because parents were coming to us from Postle Park, from Milton, from Lamb Hill, and saying to us, our kids would love a go at gymnastics, but they can't travel to Bishopbriggs. That was the closest gymnastics club.
Wow.
And then the cost of getting there, the cost of the equipment, the cost of the coaching sessions, it all adds up and adds up and adds up. So we said, well, let's have a go at this. This is what the community wants. So that's what we put on. And now we've got 6 gymnastics sessions taking place regularly every single week. And they're so well attended. I mean, the one in Postle's got 20-30 kids, the one in Milton's got 30 odd kids, the ones in Barmalla, I mean, they're all very well attended. And that for me is what's not done enough of. Speak to the kids, speak to the parents, and actually put on what they want. A lot of the time people go into communities thinking they know what the communities want, but they're not engaged in the community. I mean, I would never, I don't know Sighthill in Edinburgh. I would never go into Sighthill in Edinburgh without speaking to people first who live in the community before putting on activities.
Find out what it is they want.
And it's not. It's
a fair point. Yeah,
it's the same as if you're travelling to a country on holiday, you're going to investigate it before you go. You're not going to just turn up. Exactly. That's it.
Yep.
But I mean, I think we all agree that sports should be more accessible.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, big time. Yeah.
And specifically for community sport, knowing the community better and being able to provide the activities that the kids want, whether it be cricket, basketball, gymnastics, football, whatever it is.
Definitely. Like for me also, like one thing I really hate is kind of the whole kind of venue hire costs. I hate that. Like the whole idea that if you want to like have a game of football with your friends, you have to like pay like 40 or 50 odd pounds for like an hour of football. That's just horrible in my eyes. But like I guess what we kind of offer is kind of like a whole kind of like thingy for it. It's kind of like it's free, it's welcoming, you can enjoy it. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, like the more kind of free it is, or kind of like easy to actually take part in, the better.
So do you think, like, if you look at a prime example, you know, Tory Glen, for example, you know, there's prices there, you know, put in place, you know, and people have to book and stuff like that. So do you think, you know, one of the reasons they're probably saying that is, you know, a lot of people after work, you know, they'll grab a few mates and go down.
That's different.
So that's what I mean. So
I'd say there's 2 conditions. I'd say if you're running a football team, if the kids who are participating don't need to pay to participate, the venue's free. But if the kids are paying, they have to then pay for the venue. So for example, all our sessions are free. Nobody pays a penny. Therefore, why are we charged just to let kids play football? If you're turning up to play with your mates at 5-a-side, that's different. That's your turning up. And longer term for me, that should be free as well though. In the long term, that should be free. If the whole idea is to make the country healthier, happier, more active, produce higher level athletes, reduce the cost and the burden on the NHS in relation to preventable illness, sport and physical activity is the best thing to deal with that. And it's not, sport isn't unaffordable for everyone. Sport, I mean, in my current situation, sport isn't unaffordable to me. I can go to a gym, I can participate in a gym, I can go and play football, I can pay £5 to play as part of 5-a-sides. But it's the realisation that that's not the case for everyone. It's the realisation that that shouldn't be happening. just because some people can afford to pay doesn't mean that everyone should.
Yeah.
And it's the overarching principle, but I think it's the more important thing than the idea of just what happens week in, week out. But you imagine how many more boys clubs you would have playing football now if venue hire was free.
It'd be hundreds more. Yeah.
But then do you think it's maybe because of, you know, equipment, so obviously like pitches, so obviously like relaying and doing this and doing that obviously costs money.
Well, that is a cost, but the point is, the NHS in Scotland, it's estimated, there's wildly varying estimates, but there's estimates that preventable illnesses as a result of physical inactivity costs the Scottish Government somewhere between 450 million and up to £1 billion a year. A year. If that's the cost, that's free venue hire access for years and years and years all across the country. And that's for me. Far too many people look at this as let's fix it now, let's fix it in the next 5 years. You can't fix it. You've got to plan 20, 30, 40, 50 years ahead, and it's a long-term project. And that's the hard thing, because people have to sign up knowing now that they won't bring in as much money now, but longer term they'll spend less money. So longer term you will have more money because you're not spending it on illnesses, and you're investing it in nutrition, facilities, community centres. That's where it's been invested, but you have to put up the money now to be able to get those benefits 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line.
Yeah. But then it's politics, isn't it?
It's politics. I mean, but listen, all we can do is try to do the best that we can. Make sure sporting and physical activities are as free and affordable and accessible to all the kids we work with, and try to influence others to do the same.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But
I was going to ask, what's the highest life expectancy in
Scotland's got the lowest life expectancy of the 4 countries in the UK. I mean, even just this week, Glasgow and Clyde NHS have sent a report to Glasgow City Council and the whole Scottish Government's involved as well, with the idea of making Scotland's life expectancy more level with the rest of the UK, and in particular England. We've got the lowest life expectancy. 5 years ago we were the heart attack capital of Europe. We have far too many preventable. You look at the diet, you go into any area. This is the question I always ask myself, and we're going wider now than just sport and things, but for me it does influence. It influences free activities. You think of any street in any of the areas we work in, you think of Saracen Street in Postle, you think of any street, if it be Milton, Lamb Hill, Maryhill, anywhere else, you're always guaranteed the same 5-6 shops. You're guaranteed a bookies, a chippy, an Indian, a barber's, a tanning place, and a pub. Right? Where's the fruit stand?
Yeah.
Where's the place you can get cheap vegetables? Where's the place you can get healthy eating? And that's not to say it's not getting better and attempts aren't being made to do this, because I think it is happening. However, I think more needs to be done.
It's funny because like at uni it's Stirling, like when you go past kind of the rich area, kind of like the uni, they've got like no bookies at all. Yeah. No chippies or nothing. Like it's all kind of like banks, like a vintage shop and kind of stuff. So it's like if you ever like in an area, have a look at the street. If you see like pub, bookies, that kind of stuff, then you actually know kind of level, kind of it's mental, man. Honestly.
Just to end with, because I mean we spoke about this I think quite a bit, and we've only got 5 minutes to go. And we're already talking about sport, and this isn't an issue I think a lot of people talk about, but why don't we talk about it? Because you guys can comment on it, I can comment on it, and it's not an issue that people talk about a lot. What do you think about racism in sport? And we're not just meaning in the general sense in that you see in the sporting world of elite athletes being racially abused, or Scotland, the UK, more locally, in your local area, grown up, whatever it may be, because you get, we don't need to talk about it, but you guys will have experiences that I don't have, and lots of other people don't have, and this is an issue people don't like to talk about, so let's be honest.
I'd say,
I think you told me a couple of weeks ago about an example when you were playing?
Yeah, you know, I had a game at like 2 hours away from Glasgow.
Yeah.
Like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
right in the, it's near the so far out like countryside area, and you know, we played up there, and like my team we've got a lot of kind of black minority players.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of us, so you know, we played there in the game, which was drew 0-0, and they had a supporters on the side, and you know, junior pitches, you know, especially in the low leagues.
How tight they are.
Yeah, how tight they are to the pitch.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were defending quite well in that game, and I was playing right back myself, and I was right next to the supporters, and every time, you know, I'd stop my player, or you know, win a foul or something like that, you know, the supporters would get frustrated. You know, they'll say something very racial. You know, and me personally, it never affected me. And I think once they started to know that, it wasn't affecting me, because most of the time, as soon as they said it, you know, I just turned and just smile or laugh, and I think it frustrated them even more. That then they started taking it out on the referee.
Yeah.
You know, they stopped the abuse and then started taking it out on the referee, and you know, it stopped from there. But you know, for me, laughing or smiling at that, they knew that it didn't affect me, so they stopped it. Whereas, you know, imagine if it was somebody else, or you know, if I was to, you know, get frustrated, you know, or kick the ball at them, or you know, go up to them for a square goal, then they'll know that it's hurt me deep down, and they'll continue saying the wee odd thing here and there and try and move away.
Like you're saying, it didn't hurt you and it didn't bother you. On some level, it must. Even if you're not showing it so that they don't react, it must on some level.
I think for me personally, it's, you know, it's a shame for them. That's how I see it. A shame for them that, you know, until now we're in 2019, and it's, you know, it's still out there, and you know, people are they've still got it in their heads, you know, to say little comments and say little things and stuff like that. But you know, I see it as, you know, they see me as, you know, maybe a threat to them, or you know, and they're trying to use maybe my skin colour to downgrade me. But then again, I believe that, you know, we're all equal.
Yeah.
And that, you know, some will have more desire and more effort than others, but we're all equal at the end of the day. And you know, for them to abuse or whatever, it's, you know, it doesn't get to me. You know, I just laugh, and you know, as long as they don't touch me physically, then I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really affect me. And you know, I think because I've seen the reaction of them trying to take it out on the ref, I believe that, you know, if, you know, a lot of maybe the other, I don't know, Muslim or maybe blacks or, you know, different cultures would not let it affect them at all, and, you know, laugh it off, or and I know it's difficult, I totally understand it's difficult, and this is where
you should never have to laugh it off.
I think
would be the point. It would be
they shouldn't have to like even be in that whole position.
Yeah,
I know.
And
but then again, would you let it affect you?
I would.
I personally think when, like, I have been through it, like even on the street or just in general, and it pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie, like I'll be pissed off for the rest of the day or whatever. But yeah, like I kind of like.
I don't think you should let someone's words and, you know,
I see your point, but like on some level it will hurt, and
I see it as, you know, I talk about mental strength a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I don't think words, you know, should
hurt you
or ruin your day.
Yeah.
In a way.
I think that's a nice sentiment, and I do agree, but and I think when you're talking about personally, I think that's great. But see, when you consider the wider sense, you can't say that if someone reacts when they're racially abused, it's because it's their fault because they're not mentally strong enough. They shouldn't be getting racially abused to begin with.
I'm not saying it's their fault at all, but I do think, like I said, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone takes things in different ways, but I do think, you know, I don't think it'll ever end.
No, I agree with you on that one.
I do think, it can be reduced, but then that that goes down to right from the roots, the schools and stuff like that, being able to show that everyone's equal and whatnot.
I mean, see, in general, we put it this way: you guys both moved to this country when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen things get better as you've got older? Have you not really seen things change too much?
It's been the same.
Been the same.
It's been the same. I've been here for the past 13 years. It's been the same.
I think it's changed.
Yeah.
Things have got better. I think racing used to be a lot worse, but now I think because of the wider range of awareness in terms of show like football or sports, for example.
Yeah.
Show races in the red card and this and that and whatnot, and people speaking up to
do you
it.
really think that does much? I mean, because I always think it's a nice, they do it to show it's happening, to show they agree with it, and then it disappears.
But I do think it raises awareness though.
For the day, I agree, but it's after the day. It's the same as, I would bring it back to, although we won't go into it today, but sectarianism. It's like they raise awareness of sectarianism and they say it's unacceptable, and then they pull the covers back over it 2 weeks later when another story comes around. I mean, listening to you guys talk, I can't comment on it from that perspective, but I can comment on it from other perspectives that we could talk if it was sectarianism. But for me, I look at Glasgow from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and Glasgow had a percentage of the population that came from Africa, that came from Asia, that came from all over the world, but it's massively increased in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing. Me personally, you guys know this, but people learn more about different cultures. We joke about it all the time. I never knew anything about Somalia before I met you. I never knew anything about the Congo before I met you, Chris and Rod, apart from what you see on a book or what you see in a film or something like this. You don't actually, but you meet someone from that country, the same as if you meet someone from a different part of the same country and they've got a different accent, but you very quickly realise they're very similar to you. You guys like football, I like football. You guys like working for a charity and doing what you do, so do I. But originally we're from very different parts of the world, and I think a lot of people, whether it be in a sporting sense or a general society sense, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a wee bit like you. I think not enough's done. I don't.
Definitely not.
I don't. I don't think enough of these conversations take place. I don't think people talk about race.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's a very hard topic to chat about. It's very personal to different people, and it could be like Kevin, it could be like it won't bother me, but it can me, but it can it will be annoying for me, and I'll get either upset with them, upset with myself, or even kind of in general kind of things. So I guess it's a hard chat to have either with a kid, with a teacher, with your parents. But I think it's a big topic. Yeah. And you need to have it anyway. So you might as well just.
I could be wrong. Because we're at the end, I would almost say it's something we address at a later date and we can talk about separately. And we can do that in a later podcast, because it's not just a one issue thing where we can sum up in a quick 5-minute chat. And as much as we might have made a quick reference to sport, we've made more of a reference to general society. And you guys have got two very different experiences of it as well, and I know we've got other young people that work for us or volunteer for us involved in us again who've got different experiences. So on that note, I would say
it's been a laugh.
Aye, it's been more serious than I thought.
Yeah, same. Oh, wow.
It's been good.
It's been good.
It's
been good.
Talking about
issues,
charity issues, and what goes on in society and stuff like that. And thank you for watching.
You had to get that in.
Thank you very much, guys. That was the second podcast, and we'll be back soon with the third.
Au revoir.
Cheers.